the end of every treatment in rehab, you say this verse, the Serenity prayer, and it starts with God. With God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. My name is Loon. I'm 30 years old, and since I was 19 I'm completely hooked to cycling. Actually started 2 years earlier, got fed up with it, threw my bike in the shed, and 2 years later I got back on the bike, and from that moment it was full-on cycling, and now it's the biggest part of my life actually. So yeah, this classic story, it's quite a famous, notorious ultra ride, and it was really high on my wish list because I'm a huge fan of the sprint classics, and this was a mix of all the sprint classics connected. So yeah, I really wanted to do this. For this project, we wanted to show the strength that you can get from nasty shit in the past, and yeah, this was actually the perfect occasion to do it. So we got the course, we got the bike, and then yeah, I set off for this crazy ride. I feel motivated, but I also feel a bit scared. I mean, it's 1200 kilometers, it's -3. I think during the daylight today will be fine, but I'm quite anxious for the forest of Arenberg in Roubaix at night, and then the whole region of Flanders. And that's actually how far my mind goes right now. It doesn't really go further than the Muur van Gerardsbergen. So my night wasn't that good. But yeah, everyone around me is supporting me really well, really well. So it gives me a lot of power, a lot of energy to start the trip. I would describe myself as competitive, also pretty polarized. So it's black or white. It's on or off. And yeah, if I get something into my mind, then it's go time. So it's all or nothing always. And that's my strength, but also my weakness, because sometimes I end up with this focus of reaching the goal, and then I lose focus on all the other things in life. I'm also pretty optimistic, and I think that's something you need in cycling. For this ride I was maybe a bit too optimistic, but yeah, being optimistic brings me to places, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'm always able to see the positive side of things. And that's an easy way to process things. But then on the other end, again, it's also a way of focusing only on the positive side, which makes you lose touch with the negative sides. But it's a way of getting through situations. So I was born with two older sisters, so I was always the small guy, but so yeah, I grew up with a lot of love around me from both my parents, my sisters, the rest of my family.
Ik ben Paul Loon, de vader van Nol van Loon. Nol en ik hebben van kinds af aan een goede band. We hebben veel samen aan het sporten geweest. En ja, wij hadden een gezin met 3 kinderen en wij waren de 2 jongens. Dus ja, dat schept ook een band. Dus ja, en die is ja, in de loop der tijd eigenlijk alleen maar beter geworden. Hij was een beetje recalcitrant. Een eigen mening. En een andere mening was niet altijd even prettig. Beetje kort lontje. En ja, dus fanatiek. Fanatiek, ook op het voetbalveld. Ontzettend graag willen winnen.
I'm getting in the zone right now. It's one cobble section after the other, but I'm starting to become really zen. It's just me and my bike, some cobbles, some climbs. It's good. So I was a very confident young kid, did a lot of sports. I was doing judo, tennis, ice hockey and football all at the same time, so 4 sports at the same time. Really a lot of respect for my mother for bringing me to all those places. So I can remember as a kid that I was with this speech therapist because I was shouting too much, so I always had like this sore throat. So yeah, I was like shouting a lot. I was always there, super energetic, and that's still something, it's still in my mind. I got a bit grown up, so it's a bit more calm now, but it's still in there somewhere.
My name is Julia. I'm the cousin of Nol. I know him for my whole life already. We've been friends since the day we were born. I think we're only 6 months apart. We know each other already from a very small age, and we always played together. We had play dates, and there was one time, and he got hot soup over his head, and he was completely burnt, and his face didn't look really clean. But I was the only person who really wanted to play with him because I saw him for who he truly was my cousin Nol. We were very adventurous, as in we were just playful in trees. Yeah, doing a lot of stuff, not necessarily girl things or necessarily boy things, but just being us in an adventure way, creating things. Maybe that's the right answer, that we were always creating stuff and making things, yeah.
Ja, ik weet niet precies hoe oud dat die was, maar we hadden in Eindhoven begin oktober altijd de marathon van Eindhoven. En voor de gewone mensen een halve marathon. En ik denk dat het nog een jaar of 10 was toen hij al als 6-jarige de 5 kilometer of zo liep, of de kwartmarathon, weet ik niet. Maar als een dolle, echt als een dolle. Dus fysiek tot het uiterste gaan, dat zit er al eigenlijk van jongs af aan in. Niet met de paplepel ingegoten, maar misschien via degene, dat weet ik niet. Ja.
So about 6.5 hours out now. It's starting to get dark, but the feeling is good. I'm getting into the flow, so I can keep up this pace for quite a long time, I think. The morale is still very high, so yeah, looking forward to have dinner in Roubaix. But first, I need to make it to dinner. I think 80 kilometers, so in 3 hours. Nice. What pasta should I get? $250 k's, 12 hours on the bike, so feeling incredibly well, but I think dinner is a wise decision. It's already 9 o'clock in the evening, so I think this is the last opportunity before we get into the night to have like a proper meal. I'm really looking forward to ride Paris-Roubaix in the dark, but it also made me a bit scared. So I really don't know what to expect. I mean, I've been riding these cobbles for like a lot of times, but still, in the dark, I don't know, man. I've already been riding for 12 hours, but I have plenty of light, so we'll see what it brings. So when I was going through the route, just checked like, is the Forest of Arenberg in there? Is Mont Saint-Pével in there? Is Carrefour de Labre in there? So the 5-star cobbled sections, they were in there. And then I stopped looking. I don't know, maybe it was self-protection, but Martijn just came riding next to me, the soigneur of Jumbo-Visma, and he checked the course as well, and he said, no, they're all in there. All cobbles are in there. So, I don't know, it actually makes me laugh, but maybe I should cry. Always protecting Mother Nature, but it can always come in handy. Save some waste. Just protecting my frame.
I'm not really sure how things changed or when the exact moment it was that he changed, but I saw him change. I saw he got a bit more rebellion and did some things that weren't always that good.
Roland,
Ja,
waar zijn wij?
in een busje wat de hele tijd achteruit rijdt.
Als dit het laatste is wat ik zeg,
Wij zetten op de stapel
wil ik graag even de groeten doen aan mijn ouders, mijn familie en mijn maten die mij gewoon door steunen.
Ja, net zoals in die sterfchallenge.
Jongens, ik hou van jullie.
Hallo.
Maak er een mooi feest van op mijn begrafenis.
So we got to know that my friend got into coma when I was 13, and yeah, it took him a lot of months and a lot of years recovery to be back okay-ish. Then 1 year later, I got epilepsy. I got these tumors in my head, messed up veins, and I had to live with the insecurity of epilepsy. So I was like a Ferrari in a traffic jam. I had the energy, I wanted to move forward, I wanted to go and reach goals, but yeah, I just knew that, okay, this insecurity is my life now, and I just saw the negativity and the dark side of the situation that moment. So I had zero respect for my teachers in high school because I thought they are just here to mess around with me. I lost respect for my parents, for the people around me. I just didn't give a shit anymore because I thought, yeah, it's my life is done anyway, so I don't care about anything anymore.
De automatische rol, die is perfect, jongen. Perfecte lengte, dikte en alles.
Oh, goed dat die gaan ervan genieten, jongens.
Oh.
Ik ben geen psycholoog, maar hij heeft natuurlijk een aantal grenzen gekregen die hij moest accepteren. En eigenlijk niet kon accepteren. Dus ik weet niet wat nou oorzaak en gevolg is. Maar dat heeft ertoe bijgedragen dat het niet altijd even leuk was in zijn puberteit, zeg maar. Omdat er een aantal, in ieder geval fysieke beperkingen ook waren, waardoor hij niet kon doen wat hij wilde doen. En ja, dat heeft denk ik toe bijgedragen dat hij een kort lontje had.
Whoa, this is so insane, man. I was really down, and then this cobble section came, and I got this rush of adrenaline, power, energy. I don't know, man. It feels so special to ride here in the dark. So yeah, I just became reckless. I had there was no light at the end of the tunnel, so I was like, yeah, f it. I was starting to become really aggressive. So I got into a lot of fights. I got an out-of-home placement. I went to like special education. I was already using a lot of drugs, mainly smoking weed. But then I got to this special education. So I was in this vibe with people that also didn't give shit because they were just handicapped guys. So yeah, then things just got worse actually. I got there to become better, but yeah, things actually got worse because I was in this environment with people that also didn't gave a shit. So it was, I think, during this time that I had this out-of-home placement and that I was in special education that we got to know that my mother had this brain tumor. First she was like a bit strange in a way, and it got worse and it got worse. So she got to the psychiatric ward in the hospital. She literally lost track of where she was. And then in the end they did a scan and it turned out that she had a very aggressive brain tumor. And then we had the decision whether to fight it with like this chemotherapy and that kind of stuff. And then we would have the opportunity that she would live like 3 or 4 months longer. But yeah, she was already messed up in the head, like physically, but mainly mentally. So we decided to not do the treatment, and we just accepted that her life would end in like 6 months, which she did. So we got to know it in February, and she passed away in July that year. So the plan was actually to sleep at Carrefour de l'Arbre, because that's awesome. So I really wanted to push myself to go there. But then my Wahoo died, the battery, and I had a lot of difficulty to find the charger and stuff in the dark. So it took a long time. Then we decided we'll just sleep here. Fuck it. So I'm gonna set up my bivvy here in the forest. Quite curious what that will be like. Okay guys, good night. Yeah, so people around me thought that I was using the drugs to get rid of all those feelings. But actually I already started using a lot of drugs before that. So I think because of the drugs abuse, I was like flat emotion-wise. And then this happened, and for me it was like another thing that added up to the pile of, oh, this is wrong, this is terrible, this is, and then, oh yeah, your mom is going to die. So that was just another thing on the endless list of stuff that didn't work out the way I wanted. At least it felt that way. Of course, it's way bigger, it's the biggest thing you can imagine. But it just felt like, oh, it's another thing. Because I was already in that mindset of everything around me is negative. I just saw the negative things.
Nol had vergroeningen van zijn bloedvaten in zijn hoofd, die veroorzaakte epilepsie, want daar lekt wat bloed uit. En op een gegeven moment was er één zo hard gaan bloeden, die moest eruit, hersenoperatie. En die zat in de plek van de hersenen waar het gezichtsveld mogelijk door beïnvloed zou worden. Het ziet er allemaal ingewikkeld uit. En het is ook een beetje onwerkelijk, want hij moest bij kennis blijven bij de eerste operatie. Maar vertrouwen hebben in degene die het doen, dat helpt enorm. Dus ik was er niet nerveus voor, Nol was er ook niet nerveus voor. Dus wij zijn dat traject samen ingegaan en succes gewenst. Die operatie is goed verlopen, daarna een herstelperiode. Was niet fijn, maar goed, hij is er wel goed uitgekomen. Daardoor wist hij uiteindelijk, ja, zo ziet zo'n traject eruit. En toen de tweede keer de operatie nodig was om hem van zijn epilepsie af te helpen, ja, toen was het helder. Ik weet dat het een vervelende periode van 4 weken is of zo, maar het vooruitzicht ernaar is groot. Dus hij, en we hadden allebei, waren wij ontzettend blij met het vooruitzicht. Die epilepsie die zoveel bepalend is in zijn puberteit. Als we die kwijt zijn, ja, dat levert zoveel op. En met name nadat de epilepsie onder controle was, hebben we hem zien groeien als persoon. En is hij een veel aardiger persoon geworden eigenlijk. En ja, die stappen die toen gemaakt zijn, dat maakt je als vader enorm trots. Dat een jongen die door zijn omgeving gezien wordt als, die groeit op voor gal en rat, zo erg was het niet, maar bij wijze van spreken, dat hij ineens toch zich zo ontwikkelt. Dus ja, daar ben je als vader trots op. Het geeft vooral een gevoel van blijdschap. En ik word natuurlijk door vrienden ook op gewezen dat ik daar een belangrijke bijdrage in heb gehad. Maar ik denk dat dat eigenlijk niet zo is. Maar het is me wel overkomen en daar ben ik dankbaar voor.
Good old Tommeke. Just completed his climb, the Bodemberg, aka the Taaienberg. But it's empty. I don't know. The body's empty, the stomach is empty, the legs are empty. So I'm going to look for a very good frietkot. Fill myself up with carbs. And then I just need a reset for the night. Man, this whole day I just did like 120k. Yesterday I did 380. Not a good day.
In my gut feeling, I know he knows his limit, and for other people it might not seem like he knows it, but I really feel, because of the bond that we are having, that he knows his limit, and he's smart enough to know his limit.
$510 minus 380 is 130. So that's just about nothing. But already when I started the day today, I don't know, my brain just didn't work. Everything was slow. Everything was cold. So far, 21 hours of riding in 2 days. That's more than I ride per week usually. I don't know, I think I just had a shitty moment.
Just mentally?
Yeah, and physically, and therefore mentally. So, yeah. Or maybe first mentally, because we weren't making much progress today. And then I felt my legs. I didn't feel my legs yesterday, the whole day. And then today already after 100k. So. But yeah. It's part of the ultra. Shitty moments, good moments. And the fun thing is that it's very like following up rapidly. Like back there in the free tent, I was like, and now I'm like, okay, let's go.
just know that you had 3 good hours of sleep. And the forest, I don't know, it was fun, but that wasn't good.
At the moment that I got kicked out of high school, I told the principal, okay, I have a problem. I already tried to stop a lot of times myself, but I just can't do it. And then she was really surprised by this reaction from me. So she said, okay, you can come back if you first go to rehab. I went into rehab early 2010, and I was there for a month. Had a lot of treatments, a lot of conversations with like-minded addicts. But also the Johan Cruyff Foundation was there, and that was all top-level athletes telling their story. So I got rid of the drugs. I got my life back on track, but I also got inspired by all those top-level athletes. Yeah, so while my mom was sick, the dad of a friend of mine, he decided to join this charity event to raise money for cancer. It's on the Alpe d'Huez. You climb it as many times as you can on one day. He decided to do it to honor my mother, and my dad and I were really intrigued by that. So we decided to do the same in the year afterwards. So that was 2010. Yeah, it was super special, that event, because you're on this mountain in the Alps, and the whole village is everyone who's there has their experiences with cancer. Some survivors, some people lost relatives. So yeah, I found out that a lot of people were struggling with the same kind of issues that I had. So the riding itself is actually a small part of the whole experience of being there with all these like-minded people. $776 with 33 hours of riding. So it's midday on Wednesday, so it's a good work week. So yeah, during the night you never know how the body will respond, but I got plenty of caffeine with me, so I got high hopes. Just hope there's not too much snow, and then we can just keep on riding. And the plan is to have less than 300 Ks to go for tomorrow. So I was first thinking like, okay, it could be nice If it's less than 300, then it's just a little bit. But still, it's the full Liège-Bastogne-Liège and the full Amstel Gold Race, two of the most intense sprint lessons you can imagine. So I hope tomorrow is just 280 brutal kilometers. So working hard to keep tomorrow's ride the bare minimum. I joined that event. I rode up the mountain 4 times, but I was still like smoking and living this unhealthy lifestyle. 2011, the event happened again, and I saw it happening on television. And I was like, shit, why did I only climb the mountain 4 times? I know I'm this competitive guy. I know I can do it if I put my mind to it. So I signed up for the next year, and I started training. I started training a lot. And from there onwards, I had this bike, I was training, becoming better, and by setting those goals and reaching those goals, I got my confidence back again. I really wanted to do it 6 times in 2012, but I managed to do it 7 times, just because I put my mind to it. So that was the first example of, like my first steps forward.
Hands, my wrists, my like seat rubbing, my eyes burn. I'm always hungry. Also, I don't have like the focus anymore. It's very hard to focus on stuff. I'm just like staring in the depth, but I'm not really like receiving all the information. Yeah, I was riding in between 2 of these snow patches, and I grabbed a gel from my dog tube bag. Then I don't know, I think I slipped in the snow or something like that and crashed on my left side. I had to shift her a little bit, but I just feel super tired, but also super motivated to finish it off. I know somehow I always get it like a little bit more energy when I know that the finish is near. And I need a little bit of energy now. No, failure is not an option. I'm going to finish it up either way, I don't know. Left or right, I don't care. Yes, I do know that I'm going to finish. I don't know if it's going to be at 1 o'clock at night, if it's going to be 10 o'clock in the morning. For example, with my epilepsy, I wasn't allowed to ride my normal bike anymore, so I had to ride this 3-wheeled, like disabled people bike. And when you're in puberty, that's obviously a super nasty thing to have, because then you're the disabled guy. So I learned to pull wheelies with that one and to like do all these kind of tricks, and same with the 3-wheeled scooter that I had, like a tuk-tuk. Yeah, there's just on every negative thing there's positive sides to find. Also with the brain surgeries and stuff, and all the research, like really nasty research, was just all like steps to a better life. Like in my head, it was also like it was a step to a better life. But that's what you just tell yourself. But people put like needles through your cheeks for brain research from the inside, or I don't know, like shit that hurts a lot. You just keep on telling yourself it all helps to that like bigger goal. It all helps to that bigger goal. But the only thing in my mind is just that bigger goal of finishing. We started it off, so we're going to finish it. We're going to finish it with pride.
Yeah, so I really had this goal in my mind. So every morning I woke up, I really wanted to go on my bike, go as fast as possible. I always did the same lap of 80 kilometers, and my only goal was to do it as fast as possible, because I thought that was the best way to train. But yeah, I really got hooked to becoming better, becoming closer, and getting closer to the goal, and then eventually reaching that goal. My grandparents used to own a cabin here, so we spent like 2 or 3 holidays a year here, chopping wood, fishing, being out there, kayaking. So I think until I was 16 we had this cabin out here. So I think the last time that I walked this road, I've been walking it for over 1,000 times, I think. The last time I was here with friends, high on ecstasy, ketamine.
Nou, ik denk toch dat de fiets uiteindelijk het middel is gevonden waarin hij zijn natuurlijke drang om fysiek te presteren goed kwijt kon. En ja, dus dat... De werkelijke oorzaak is de epilepsie, en de fiets is de uitingsvorm die hij gevonden heeft die goed bij hem past.
He was really was into his body and fitness and having the right food.
The end of every treatment in rehab, you say this verse, the Serenity prayer, and it starts with God. With God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So you're always doing this kind of prayer towards a certain God. And I was like, yeah, I don't believe in a God. I don't have something that gives me faith or gives me confidence. But looking back, actually it was my bike that was my kind of God, that was my religion, because that was the way that got me on track. That was what woke me up in the morning. That was what gave me back my confidence, my power, my strength. So yeah, in the end, it turned out that my bike was actually that God that I was praying to the whole time in rehab. Yeah, what I would have liked to know back then was like, whatever dark situation you're in, you always get certain tools which you can grab and embrace to really become a better version of yourself later on. But while you are in that situation, you might not feel it, you might not know it, but in the end, you will realize that you received some tools that you can use in different situations afterwards. I'm just a junkie for adrenaline. I was feeling completely empty, completely miserable. It started to rain, and I was like, oh, still a long way to go. And then there was this long descent. It started to snow. And I don't know, the speed and the snow in my face, I think it was just a mix of stuff that provided just the right amount of adrenaline. So I'm now back into the zone, riding up Col de One. Nasty little climb from Liège-Bastogne-Liège. I think there's a ski station at the top. Bonjour. I think without these situations, now it feels like I've reached the bottom, and I'm trying to do everything I can to not go back there again. And I think if that wouldn't have happened, that I would always feel like there's like a kind of safety net. So you would work less hard, or you would set not as big goals as you would do now. So I think, because I've been like down there, I have more drive and more energy to make 100,000% sure that I'm not going back there anymore.
Ja, wat anderen van nul kunnen leren, dat niet het uitzicht altijd hopeloos is. Dat je zelf stappen kunt nemen waardoor uitzichtloosheid weer wordt tot een toekomstperspectief.
Redoute was closed. Too much snow, so I took a little detour. Now I'm almost back at the top of La Redoute. The last 3 hours were very demanding, mostly mentally, I think, because it's still like a long way to go. It's dark again, and we're not even halfway into today's ride, so that's mentally quite hard to cope with, but we got a long night ahead of us.
Yeah, so then I was able to dream again. So I was riding my bike more and more and more. I was starting to race. After a while I was winning races. So I was like, whoa, what is happening, you know? From being this messed up kid to winning bike races. So that gave me a lot of confidence. So I went to study, became an engineer, traveled the world for my work. So yeah, my career was going well, my sports were going well, and yeah, together those things combined, I was just having all the confidence in the world actually.
It's 12 at night, riding along the canal towards Maastricht for the Amsterdam Gold Race, and we're barely able to push 20 km an hour. It's just completely empty, completely empty. Try to listen to a podcast, to some 90s dance. Nothing seems to be working, everything hurts. There's not a single way I can sit comfortably on the bike. And then if I ever reach Limburg, then I still have to ride 100 k's with the hardest, steepest climbs. Yeah, feeling. I tried everything. Caffeine, big chain ring, small chain ring, riding fast, riding slow. Nothing works. Just completely empty.
I thought, the first thing I thought when he said I quit my job, I was like, are you kidding me? Where's your safety? How do you make income? Where are you gonna live? How is your life gonna look like?
Toen nog baggeraar was bij Boskalis, had hij het, voor zover je dat kon beoordelen uit de berichten die langskwamen, het geweldig naar zijn zin. Nou, toen is hij vanwege zijn relatie toch teruggekomen naar Nederland. En een kantoorbaan gekregen bij Boskalis. En ja, toen heeft hij duidelijk ervaren, de hele dag achter een computer zitten is niet waar ik vrolijk van word. Dat is niet mijn ding.
Yeah, the job that I was doing was really nice. I earned good money, but I just felt that I wasn't going into the direction that my heart actually wanted to go. I got my energy from cycling and from adventure, and during my office work I was just doing my thing and leave again. But I felt I was going down actually, like money-wise and career-wise I was going up, but yeah, mentally and from my feeling was going down, because I was going into a direction that I didn't want to go. If I looked at my co-workers, the people that were like my bosses, it felt good to quit that and to go into a direction that was providing me energy.
to go. So shout out to our friend Dentibo for providing some super strong caffeine. Lifesaver. $10K to go. Hi. Hi. Everything hurts. .5 hours. 14,000 meters of climbing. Nice.
Yeah, so for me personally, the bike has been the tool that brought my life back on track. It also gave me loads of great places in the world. I've met a lot of cool people through riding my bike. And I've had so many great experiences by just going, by just diving into the deep, by just riding your bike into the unknown, that I just want to inspire all people around the world to just ride your bike, just go for it, just have as much fun as possible.
He was doing this for a year, and I don't know if we were just walking through the woods or just having a coffee together, and I said, oh, can you imagine how proud you are now on what you have achieved and how far you become, and I never thought that you could get this far, but I'm so proud of you and I'm super happy for you that everything worked out the way you wanted.
En ja, dat vind ik mooi. Gewoon durven, weet je, ik ben jong, ik ga het gewoon doen en ik ga wel een weg vinden waarin ik met dat fietsen ook nog mijn boterham kan verdienen.
Yeah, everything worked out the way I wanted if I really put my mind to it. So that just gave me the confidence that I can conquer the world if I want to.
That's ultra cycling, it just ends.
Is McDonald's already open?